Chosen one. There are moments in life when something inside you begins to shift, even though nothing around you seems fully clear yet. You may feel a strange tension building in your spirit, as if something important is approaching, but has not revealed itself completely. It can feel like standing on the edge of a moment you cannot fully see. The air around your life feels different, your thoughts feel heavier, your awareness sharper, and your emotions more intense than usual. Something is changing, yet the exact shape of that change remains hidden. Many chosen ones experience this exact stage before a major shift in their life. It is a moment that often feels confusing and exhausting at the same time. You may look at your journey and wonder why progress has taken so long. Perhaps you expected certain doors to open earlier. Perhaps you believed certain prayers would have been answered by now. Instead, the road may have felt longer, heavier, and more complicated than you imagined when the journey first began. During these moments, it is not uncommon for the chosen one to feel close to giving up. The constant pressure can create a sense of fatigue that reaches deeper than physical exhaustion. It touches the spirit. You may begin questioning whether the effort you have invested will ever lead to the breakthrough you hoped for. You may look around and see others moving forward while you feel stuck in a season that refuses to change. Yet there is a pattern that appears again and again throughout spiritual history. Breakthrough rarely arrives during seasons of comfort. The moments that transform a person's life almost always appear after long periods of preparation, testing, and pressure. When someone is approaching the point where their purpose begins to unfold, the intensity around them often increases rather than decreases. This pressure is not always meant to destroy the chosen one. In many cases, it is the final stage of shaping their character and strengthening their faith. The challenges that feel overwhelming today may actually be the forces preparing you to carry the responsibility waiting on the other side of this moment. Just as a seed must break open before it can grow into something greater, the chosen one often feels like everything is falling apart right before the next chapter begins to appear. What you may be experiencing right now could be the difference between breaking down and breaking open. The tension, the uncertainty, and the emotional weight you feel may not be signs that your journey has failed. They may be signs that something is about to shift. The season you are walking through may be the final preparation before the purpose placed on your life begins to reveal itself more clearly. Many chosen ones later look back at these moments and realize they were standing at the edge of their breakthrough without even realizing it. The pressure they felt was not meaningless. It was the final stretch before a new chapter began unfolding in ways they could not yet imagine. In this video, we are going to explore 7 powerful signs that the chosen one may be approaching a breakthrough. These signs reveal why pressure often increases right before change, and why the moments that feel the most uncertain can actually be the moments closest to transformation. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who may need encouragement right now, and subscribe to the channel for more messages about the journey of the chosen ones. One of the most common experiences many chosen ones report before a major turning point in their lives is an unexpected increase in pressure. Situations that once felt manageable begin to feel heavier. Circumstances that seemed under control suddenly become complicated. The emotional, spiritual, and even practical weight surrounding daily life can intensify in ways that feel almost overwhelming. For the chosen one standing inside this moment, it can seem as though everything is becoming harder instead of easier. At first glance, this sudden rise in pressure can appear discouraging. When someone has already endured a long season of struggle, the natural expectation is that things will eventually become lighter. The chosen one may hope that after years of perseverance, the path ahead will finally smooth out. Yet just when relief seems close, new challenges may begin appearing. Old issues may resurface. Responsibilities may grow heavier. The demands placed on the chosen one's patience, faith, and endurance may become stronger than before. Because of this, many chosen ones initially interpret this stage as a sign that something is going wrong. They may begin questioning their progress, or wondering whether they misunderstood their purpose. It can feel confusing to move forward for so long, only to find the road becoming more intense right when progress seemed possible. However, this stage often holds a deeper meaning that only becomes clear later. Throughout many spiritual journeys and life experiences, pressure tends to increase right before transformation. The final stage of preparation rarely arrives quietly. Instead, it often appears as a period where everything the chosen one has learned is tested at once. The patience developed through earlier struggles is challenged again. The discipline formed through difficult seasons is required more consistently. Faith is no longer something spoken about in theory, but something that must be practiced daily. Pressure in this stage serves an important purpose. It forces the chosen one to move beyond reliance on comfort. Earlier in life, motivation may have come from external encouragement or visible progress. But during this intense period, those comforts may not be available. The chosen one must begin drawing strength from deeper sources within themselves. Faith becomes less about hope and more about trust. Discipline becomes less about temporary effort and more about consistent commitment. This shift is crucial because the responsibilities waiting beyond the breakthrough often require greater stability and strength. If the chosen one were to step into that new chapter without the inner foundation formed through pressure, they might struggle to maintain the balance needed to carry their purpose. The pressure, therefore, becomes a training ground where resilience is refined and priorities become clearer. Another aspect of this stage is that pressure often exposes the areas where the chosen one still needs growth. Situations that trigger frustration, doubt, or exhaustion can reveal habits or mindsets that must be strengthened before the next chapter begins. The chosen one may discover that certain fears still influence their decisions. They may realize that they rely too heavily on approval from others. They may see that their confidence fluctuates when external circumstances become unstable. While these realizations can feel uncomfortable, they are valuable moments of self-awareness. Pressure acts like a mirror that reflects what still needs attention. Instead of hiding weaknesses, it brings them to the surface where they can be addressed. The chosen one gradually becomes more aware of how they respond to difficulty, and that awareness allows them to grow stronger. At the same time, this period of intensified pressure often develops the chosen one's ability to remain steady when life becomes unpredictable. When challenges arrive repeatedly, the chosen one learns to respond rather than panic. They begin practicing calm decision-making even when emotions are running high. This emotional stability becomes one of the most important qualities needed for the breakthrough ahead. Many people imagine that success or transformation happens suddenly, but the truth is that most breakthroughs require preparation that cannot be rushed. The person who steps into the next stage must be capable of handling new opportunities, new attention, and new responsibilities. Without the strength built during earlier pressure, those opportunities could become overwhelming rather than empowering. This is why pressure should not automatically be interpreted as failure. In many cases, it is a signal that something significant is approaching. The increase in tension may represent the final adjustments taking place before a shift occurs. Just as a storm can gather intensity before releasing rain, the chosen one's life may gather pressure before releasing the breakthrough they have been waiting for. During this stage, it is also common for the chosen one to feel emotionally stretched between hope and exhaustion. On one side, there is a quiet sense that something meaningful is near. On the other side, there is the weight of the journey that has already been traveled. Balancing these two feelings can be challenging. The chosen one may find themselves asking how much longer they must endure before seeing the results of their perseverance. Yet when they continue moving forward despite this pressure, they are demonstrating the very strength that the next chapter requires. Each time they choose patience over frustration, they strengthen their resilience. Each time they remain disciplined despite uncertainty, they reinforce their commitment to their purpose. Each time they refuse to abandon their path, even when it feels difficult, they prove that they are capable of carrying the responsibilities that lie ahead. Many chosen ones later look back at this period and recognize it as the moment when everything began shifting internally. Even though the external breakthrough had not yet appeared, something inside them had already changed. They had become stronger, more focused, and less dependent on temporary circumstances. The pressure that once felt unbearable had quietly transformed them into someone prepared for what was coming next. Understanding this can bring a sense of perspective during the most difficult moments. Instead of viewing pressure only as a burden, the chosen one can begin to see it as part of a larger process. the challenges surrounding them may be shaping their readiness for the opportunities that will soon arrive. In this way, the intensifying pressure does not represent the end of the journey. It often represents the final stage before something begins to shift. The chosen one may feel as though everything is being tested at once, but those tests are often confirming that they are stronger than they once believed. When pressure rises just before a breakthrough, it is not always meant to push the chosen one backward. Sometimes it exists to prove that they are finally ready to move forward into the next chapter of their purpose. As we discussed in the previous section, pressure often intensifies right before a breakthrough. The chosen one may feel stretched emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, as if everything is being tested at once. Yet pressure alone is not the only sign that a major shift is approaching. Alongside this growing intensity, another pattern often begins to appear. Structures that once felt stable in the chosen one's life may suddenly begin to shift, weaken, or dissolve entirely. This stage can feel deeply unsettling because it affects areas of life that once seemed secure. Relationships that once felt supportive may become distant or strained. Routines that once provided comfort may begin to feel empty or meaningless. Environments that once felt like the right place may suddenly feel restrictive or out of alignment. The chosen one may look around and realize that things that used to make sense no longer feel the same. When this process begins, it is common for the chosen one to feel confused or even discouraged. Stability is something most people naturally value. When familiar parts of life begin to change unexpectedly, the instinctive reaction is often to try to hold everything together. The chosen one may attempt to restore what once felt normal. They may try to repair relationships that are slowly drifting apart, or force themselves to remain in situations that no longer feel right. However, what the chosen one may not immediately realize is that this dismantling process is often part of the transition toward their breakthrough. The structures that are beginning to weaken were not necessarily wrong or harmful. In many cases, they were simply designed for an earlier stage of the chosen one's journey. They served a purpose during a time when the chosen one was learning certain lessons, building certain strengths, or gaining certain experiences. But as the chosen one continues growing, those same environments or connections may no longer support the direction their life is now moving toward. Just as a person eventually outgrows clothing that once fit perfectly, the chosen one can also outgrow spaces that once felt comfortable. What once supported their development may now limit their progress. This transition can be especially difficult when it involves relationships. The chosen one may have shared meaningful experiences with people who were present during earlier chapters of their life. Those connections may carry memories of support, learning, and companionship. Yet, as the chosen one evolves, their priorities, values, and direction may begin shifting in ways that others around them do not fully understand. In some cases, people who once walked closely beside the chosen one may feel uncomfortable with the changes taking place. The chosen one's growth may challenge the expectations others once held about them. It may also highlight differences in vision or purpose that were not visible before. As a result, certain relationships may slowly drift apart, not necessarily because of conflict, but because the paths involved are moving in different directions. These changes can create a sense of loneliness that feels unfamiliar. The chosen one may wonder why connections that once felt strong now seem distant. They may question whether they did something wrong, or whether the relationship could have been saved if they had tried harder. Yet in many cases, the separation is not a failure. It is simply the natural result of two paths evolving differently. The same process can also affect environments and routines. The chosen one may find themselves losing interest in activities that once felt meaningful. Work environments that once felt exciting may begin to feel restrictive. Habits that once structured their daily life may now feel like they are holding them back rather than helping them grow. This stage often creates a sense of uncertainty because the chosen one may not yet see what will replace what is disappearing. They may feel as if pieces of their life are being removed without clear explanation. Familiar structures fall away, yet the new chapter has not fully revealed itself. However, this dismantling process plays an essential role in making space for what is coming next. Breakthrough cannot fully appear while the chosen one remains surrounded by structures that belong to an earlier stage of their life. Just as a builder must clear land before constructing something new, certain aspects of the chosen one's life must shift or dissolve before the next chapter can begin. This clearing process may feel uncomfortable because it removes the familiar before the new becomes visible. Yet the absence of the old is often necessary for the arrival of the new. If the chosen one remained fully attached to previous environments or relationships, they might not recognize the opportunities aligned with their future purpose when they appear. Over time, many chosen ones look back on this stage and realize that the dissolving structures were not signs of loss, but signs of transition. The relationships that faded created room for new connections aligned with their growth. The environments that no longer fit opened the possibility of spaces where their abilities could flourish more freely. Even the routines that once structured their life may be replaced by new rhythms that better support the responsibilities waiting ahead. What once seemed stable may eventually reveal itself as preparation for a greater level of alignment between the chosen one's life and their purpose. Another important aspect of this process is that it strengthens the chosen one's ability to let go of what no longer serves them. Letting go is rarely easy. It requires trusting that the path ahead holds something meaningful, even when it cannot yet be fully seen. This trust becomes an important part of the chosen one's spiritual maturity. When the chosen one learns to release what belongs to the past, they become more open to receiving what belongs to the future. Instead of clinging to structures that once defined them, they begin embracing the transformation taking place within their life. This shift in perspective allows them to move forward with greater clarity. Instead of resisting every change, they begin recognizing which endings are actually preparing them for new beginnings. The dismantling of old structures becomes less frightening and more understandable. Eventually, the chosen one may realize that what felt like collapse was actually reorganization. The pieces of their life were not falling apart randomly. They were rearranging themselves in preparation for something greater. When viewed through this lens, the dissolving of old structures becomes another sign that the breakthrough is approaching. The chosen one is no longer being shaped by the same environments or patterns that once defined their life. Instead, space is being created for the opportunities, relationships, and responsibilities that align with the next stage of their journey. In this way, the endings that feel difficult in the present moment may later reveal themselves as necessary steps toward the future the chosen one was always meant to step into. As we explored in the previous section, one of the signs that the chosen one is approaching a breakthrough is the gradual dismantling of old structures. Relationships, environments, and routines that once felt stable may begin shifting or dissolving. While this process can feel unsettling, it often clears the space necessary for the next stage of the journey. Yet alongside these external changes, another transformation begins taking place internally. The chosen one's awareness begins to sharpen in ways they may not have experienced before. This heightened awareness often appears quietly at first. The chosen one may begin noticing patterns in situations that once seemed random. Conversations may carry meanings that were previously overlooked. The behavior of people around them may become easier to interpret. Instead of reacting only to what is visible on the surface, the chosen one starts sensing deeper dynamics within the environments they move through. Earlier in their journey, the chosen one may have struggled with confusion about certain situations. They may have questioned why certain relationships felt complicated, or why certain environments created tension they could not fully explain. Decisions may have felt uncertain because the information available seemed incomplete. In those earlier stages, the chosen one might have relied heavily on the opinions of others or external validation to determine what direction to take. However, as the breakthrough approaches, something begins shifting in their perception. The confusion that once clouded their judgment gradually gives way to clarity. Situations that once seemed mysterious begin making sense. The chosen one starts recognizing connections between events that previously appeared unrelated. What once felt like scattered experiences now begins forming a clearer narrative. This sharpening of awareness often comes as a result of the lessons learned during earlier seasons of pressure and change. The challenges the chosen one endured taught them to observe carefully rather than react impulsively. The disappointments they experienced forced them to reflect more deeply on the motives and patterns surrounding their life. Each experience quietly strengthened their ability to recognize truth from illusion. One noticeable change during this stage is that the chosen one becomes more sensitive to the intentions of others. People who once seemed trustworthy may now reveal subtle inconsistencies in their words or behavior. Likewise, individuals who were previously overlooked may suddenly appear more genuine and supportive than initially realized. The chosen one begins recognizing that appearances can be misleading, and that deeper understanding often requires patience and careful observation. This growing discernment protects the chosen one as they approach the next stage of their journey. Breakthrough often brings new opportunities, new relationships, and greater visibility. Without strong awareness, these opportunities could easily become overwhelming or even dangerous. Not everyone who appears during the chosen one's rise will carry positive intentions. Some may attempt to benefit from the chosen one's growth without truly supporting their purpose. Because of this, sharpened awareness becomes an essential form of protection. The chosen one learns to observe before trusting completely. They begin evaluating whether actions align with words. They become more comfortable taking time to understand a situation fully before committing to it. Another sign of this heightened awareness is the way the chosen one begins interpreting their past experiences. Moments that once felt confusing begin revealing their hidden lessons. Situations that once seemed like meaningless setbacks suddenly make sense within the larger story of their journey. For example, a rejection that once felt painful may now appear as protection from a path that would have limited their growth. A delay that once felt frustrating may reveal itself as necessary timing that prevented premature decisions. Relationships that once ended abruptly may now be understood as part of the process that guided the chosen one toward deeper self-awareness. This ability to reinterpret past events with greater understanding strengthens the chosen one's confidence in their journey. Instead of feeling lost within a series of random experiences, they begin recognizing that their life has been unfolding through a pattern of preparation. As this clarity develops, the chosen one also becomes more aware of their own inner voice. Earlier in life, they may have ignored certain instincts or dismissed subtle feelings of caution. Now they begin paying closer attention to the signals that arise within their thoughts and emotions. This inner awareness does not necessarily appear as dramatic visions or sudden revelations. More often it appears as a quiet sense of knowing. The chosen one may feel drawn towards certain directions or cautious about certain situations, without immediately understanding why. Over time, they learn to respect these impressions rather than dismiss them. Listening to this inner guidance allows the chosen one to move through complex situations with greater wisdom. Instead of rushing into decisions out of pressure or fear, they pause and reflect. They examine the long-term consequences of their choices. This thoughtful approach becomes increasingly important as the responsibilities associated with their breakthrough begin to appear. Another aspect of sharpened awareness is the chosen one's ability to recognize the difference between temporary distractions and meaningful opportunities. As new possibilities emerge, not all of them will align with the chosen one's purpose. Some may appear attractive, but ultimately lead away from the direction their life is meant to take. Discernment helps the chosen one evaluate these options carefully. Instead of chasing every opportunity that appears, they begin asking deeper questions. Does this path align with the person they are becoming? Does it support the purpose they have been preparing for? Does it contribute to the long-term direction of their journey? By approaching decisions in this way, the chosen one reduces the risk of becoming distracted by short-term rewards that do not support their greater calling. Their awareness becomes a compass that guides them toward the opportunities that truly matter. As clarity continues increasing, the chosen one may also notice that their emotional responses begin changing. Situations that once triggered strong reactions may no longer affect them in the same way. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by every challenge, they develop a calmer and more balanced perspective. This emotional stability allows them to navigate uncertainty with greater confidence. They become less influenced by external chaos and more grounded in their understanding of the path ahead. Even when circumstances remain unclear, they trust that the clarity they have developed will help them make wise decisions. Eventually, the chosen one begins recognizing that this sharpened awareness is not random. It is the result of everything they have experienced throughout their journey. The pressure, the endings, and the lessons all contributed to strengthening their perception. With this new clarity, they are better prepared for the breakthrough that is approaching. The next stage of their life will require them to make decisions that influence not only themselves, but also others who may look to them for guidance. Their sharpened awareness ensures that they can step into that role with wisdom rather than confusion. In this way, the chosen one's growing discernment becomes another sign that they are approaching the edge of transformation. The clarity they now possess allows them to navigate the next chapter of their journey with confidence, understanding, and a deeper sense of purpose. As we discussed in the previous section, one of the signs that the chosen one is approaching a breakthrough is the sharpening of their awareness. Confusion begins turning into clarity. Situations that once seemed uncertain begin making sense. The chosen one becomes more capable of recognizing patterns, understanding people's motives, and interpreting the lessons hidden within their past experiences. This growing discernment prepares them for the next phase of their journey. Yet once this internal clarity begins developing, another shift often starts appearing in the external world around them. Opportunities that were previously invisible or unavailable begin to emerge. These opportunities rarely arrive in dramatic ways at first. In fact, many breakthroughs begin quietly, almost subtly. The chosen one may not immediately realize that something important has begun shifting. Instead of a sudden transformation that changes everything overnight, the early signs of breakthrough often appear as small openings in areas where doors once seemed permanently closed. For a long time, the chosen one may have felt as if progress was blocked in certain directions. Efforts that once required enormous energy may have produced very little movement. Attempts to pursue opportunities may have been met with rejection, silence, or delay. During those earlier seasons, it may have seemed as though nothing was working, no matter how much determination or preparation the chosen one invested. However, as the breakthrough approaches, the atmosphere around those same areas can begin changing. Situations that once resisted movement may start responding differently. A conversation may suddenly lead to a possibility that did not exist before. Someone may appear in the chosen one's life with information or connections that open new directions. A skill the chosen one developed quietly over time may finally begin attracting attention. At first, these opportunities may appear small or even ordinary. The chosen one might overlook them because they do not match the dramatic expectations they once imagined for their breakthrough. Yet the importance of these early openings lies not in their size, but in their alignment with the chosen one's gifts and calling. Unlike the distractions that may have appeared earlier in the journey, these opportunities tend to resonate with the deeper direction of the chosen one's life. They connect with abilities the chosen one has already developed. They invite the chosen one to step into roles that reflect the growth they have experienced. Even if the scale is modest at first, the direction feels meaningful. For example, the chosen one may suddenly find themselves invited into conversations where their insights are valued. They may receive opportunities to share knowledge, offer guidance, or participate in projects that reflect their talents. In other cases, new environments may appear where their skills naturally fit, even though similar attempts were unsuccessful in the past. This shift can feel surprising because the chosen one may have grown accustomed to resistance. After spending a long time facing closed doors, it can be difficult to believe that new doors are genuinely opening. The chosen one may even question whether the opportunity is real or whether it will disappear like previous attempts. Yet one difference often becomes noticeable during this stage. These new openings tend to align more naturally with the chosen one's path. Instead of forcing progress through constant struggle, the chosen one may notice that certain steps begin unfolding more smoothly. Effort is still required, but the resistance that once blocked progress begins weakening. This does not mean that every opportunity will immediately lead to a complete breakthrough. The early stages of change often appear as gradual movement rather than sudden transformation. The chosen one may need to take small steps that eventually build toward larger developments. What begins as a single opportunity may lead to a connection, which then leads to a new direction that was previously unimaginable. Because of this gradual unfolding, attentiveness becomes extremely important. The chosen one must remain aware enough to recognize these early signs of change. If they remain focused only on dramatic outcomes, they may overlook the small beginnings that are quietly guiding them toward their breakthrough. This attentiveness is directly connected to the sharpened awareness discussed in the previous section. The clarity the chosen one has developed now allows them to recognize which opportunities deserve their attention and which are simply distractions. Instead of chasing every possibility, they can evaluate whether a new opening aligns with the deeper purpose they have been preparing for. Another important aspect of this stage is readiness. Opportunities may appear, but the chosen one must also be prepared to step forward when the moment arrives. The preparation they experienced during earlier seasons of pressure now becomes valuable. The discipline they developed helps them respond responsibly. The patience they learned prevents them from rushing into decisions without reflection. At times, the chosen one may feel hesitant when these opportunities first appear. After experiencing long periods of delay, it can feel unfamiliar to suddenly see progress. Doubt may arise, questioning whether the moment is truly different from the past. Yet this hesitation gradually fades as the chosen one continues observing how these opportunities align with their growth. Over time, they begin recognizing that the doors opening now are connected to the lessons they have already learned. The abilities they developed during quiet seasons are now becoming useful. The insights they gained through hardship are now helping them navigate new environments. The experiences that once felt painful are now revealing their purpose as preparation. This realization often brings a renewed sense of motivation. The chosen one begins seeing that the journey they endured was not wasted. Every stage of preparation contributed to the readiness required for this moment. What once felt like endless waiting now appears as necessary development. Breakthrough rarely arrives as a single event. More often, it unfolds through a series of opportunities that gradually reshape the chosen one's life. Each new opening leads to another step forward. Each step reveals more possibilities that were hidden before. As these opportunities continue appearing, the chosen one begins realizing that the doors once closed are now opening for a reason. The preparation they completed earlier has brought them to a point where they are capable of stepping into the next stage of their journey. For this reason, recognizing the early signs of change becomes essential. The chosen one must remain attentive, patient, and willing to move forward when the moment arrives. The breakthrough they have been waiting for may not appear in a single dramatic moment. Instead, it may begin through small opportunities that quietly lead them toward the future they were always meant to reach. As we explored in the previous section, one of the signs that a breakthrough is approaching is the appearance of new opportunities. Doors that were once closed begin opening in quiet and unexpected ways. Small chances appear that align more closely with the chosen one's abilities, experience, and purpose. These moments often feel encouraging because they signal that the long season of preparation may finally be leading somewhere meaningful. Yet just when these openings begin to appear, another surprising pattern often emerges alongside them. Resistance can suddenly intensify. At first, this may feel confusing. After enduring so many challenges already, the chosen one might expect the path ahead to become smoother once opportunities begin showing themselves. Instead, new obstacles may arise. Doubts that seemed quiet before may grow louder. Distractions may appear that attempt to pull attention away from the progress being made. People who once remained silent may suddenly begin questioning the chosen one's decisions. This stage can feel frustrating because it arrives at the very moment when progress seems possible. The chosen one may wonder why resistance would appear exactly when the path finally begins opening. Yet throughout many stories of transformation, this pattern appears repeatedly. Right before a significant shift occurs, opposition often becomes more visible. One reason for this increase in resistance is that change itself creates tension. The chosen one is stepping into a new phase of life that requires leaving behind certain patterns, habits, or expectations that once defined them. Growth often disrupts the comfort of familiar routines. As a result, internal doubts may surface, attempting to convince the chosen one that returning to old patterns would be easier. These doubts may appear as quiet questions in the mind. The chosen one might wonder whether they are truly ready for the opportunity ahead. They may question whether they deserve the progress beginning to appear. Memories of past failures may resurface, suggesting that the new path will eventually collapse just like previous attempts. Alongside internal doubts, external distractions can also increase during this stage. Situations may arise that demand attention but contribute little to the chosen one's long-term purpose. Unexpected conflicts may appear within environments the chosen one is trying to move beyond. Responsibilities that once seemed manageable may suddenly expand, consuming time and energy that would otherwise be focused on the opportunities emerging ahead. These distractions can be subtle but powerful. They may not appear harmful on the surface. In fact, some distractions may look productive or even helpful, yet their true effect is to divide the chosen one's focus, pulling attention away from the direction their life is beginning to move toward. Opposition can also appear through the reactions of people around the chosen one. When someone begins stepping into a new level of growth, others may respond in unexpected ways. Some may feel uncomfortable with the changes taking place. Others may question the chosen one's decisions, simply because those decisions challenge familiar expectations. In certain cases, people who once felt comfortable with the chosen one's previous role may struggle to adjust to the possibility that their life is evolving. The chosen one may notice subtle discouragement from individuals who are unsure how the new chapter will affect their relationship. These reactions are not always intentional acts of resistance. Often they simply reflect the natural tension that occurs when someone begins stepping outside the patterns that once defined them. However, the effect can still create additional pressure for the chosen one as they move forward. This stage therefore becomes a critical moment in the journey toward breakthrough. The chosen one is now standing between two directions. One path leads forward into the unfamiliar opportunities beginning to appear. The other path leads back toward the familiar patterns of the past. The resistance appearing in this moment often functions as a final test of commitment. The chosen one must decide whether the purpose they have been preparing for is worth continuing toward, despite the doubts, distractions, and opposition surrounding them. This test does not necessarily involve dramatic decisions. More often it appears through everyday choices. The chosen one must choose whether to maintain discipline when distractions appear. They must choose whether to continue believing in the direction they feel called toward, even when others question it. They must choose whether to remain focused on long-term growth instead of retreating into the comfort of familiar habits. Remaining grounded during this stage requires remembering the lessons developed earlier in the journey. The patience formed during long seasons of waiting becomes essential. The clarity developed through sharpened awareness helps the chosen one recognize which voices deserve attention and which are simply echoes of old fears. The chosen one may also discover that resistance loses much of its power once it is recognized. Doubt can feel overwhelming when it appears suddenly, but when examined carefully, it often reveals itself as a reflection of uncertainty rather than truth. Distractions may seem urgent at first, yet their importance often fades when viewed through the perspective of long-term purpose. By maintaining focus during this stage, the chosen one strengthens the very qualities that will support their breakthrough. Each moment where they choose persistence over retreat builds confidence in their ability to handle the responsibilities waiting ahead. Many chosen ones later look back at this stage and recognize it as the final threshold before change occurred. The resistance they experienced was not a signal that they were moving in the wrong direction. Instead, it was the moment where their commitment to their purpose was being tested. Those who continue forward despite the pressure often discover that the resistance gradually fades once the decision to move ahead becomes clear. The doubts lose their influence, the distractions become easier to ignore. The opposition that once seemed intimidating reveals itself as temporary. This stage therefore plays an important role in preparing the chosen one for the breakthrough ahead. By confronting resistance without retreating, they demonstrate the strength required to carry the opportunities that are beginning to unfold. When the chosen one remains steady through this final wave of resistance, they move one step closer to stepping fully into the new chapter, waiting just beyond the threshold of their perseverance. As we explored in the previous section, resistance often intensifies right before a major shift takes place. Doubts, distractions, and opposition can appear almost unexpectedly, as if testing whether the chosen one is truly ready to move forward. Those moments force the chosen one to examine their commitment and remain grounded in their purpose, despite uncertainty. Yet once the chosen one moves through that wave of resistance without retreating, another transformation begins to unfold. It is quieter, more internal, and often more profound than any external change. The chosen one begins releasing the identities, expectations, and roles that once defined their life. This process can feel subtle at first, but its impact is powerful. Earlier in their journey, the chosen one may have built parts of their identity around certain goals, relationships, or roles they believed were necessary for success. They may have shaped their decisions according to how others perceived them. Approval, recognition, or validation from the outside world may have played a significant role in how they measured their progress. These influences are not necessarily wrong. In earlier stages of life, they often provide structure and motivation. But as the chosen one approaches their breakthrough, they begin noticing that some of these expectations no longer align with who they are becoming. Certain ambitions that once seemed essential may begin losing their importance. Roles that once felt comfortable may now feel limiting. The chosen one starts recognizing that they have outgrown the identity they once carried. One of the most noticeable changes during this stage is the gradual release of the need for approval. Earlier in the journey, the chosen one may have relied on encouragement from others to confirm that they were moving in the right direction. Praise from mentors, recognition from peers, or acceptance from their community may have provided reassurance that their efforts were worthwhile. However, as their awareness grows and their purpose becomes clearer, the chosen one begins realizing that external approval cannot fully define their path. Not everyone will understand the direction their life is taking. Some people may question their decisions or struggle to accept the changes happening within them. If the chosen one continues seeking approval from every voice around them, they may find themselves constantly adjusting their path to satisfy expectations that do not align with their purpose. Releasing this dependence on approval creates a new level of freedom. The chosen one begins making decisions based on alignment rather than validation. They become more comfortable following the direction that feels true to their calling, even when it does not receive immediate support from others. This shift does not make them indifferent to relationships, but it does allow them to prioritize authenticity over acceptance. Alongside the release of approval, the chosen one may also begin letting go of certain ambitions that once shaped their goals. Earlier in life, they may have pursued achievements that promised recognition, security, or social status. These ambitions may have been influenced by cultural expectations or by the desire to prove themselves to others. As the breakthrough approaches, however, the chosen one often begins asking deeper questions about what truly matters. Achievements that once seemed important may now feel empty if they do not align with the deeper purpose they have been discovering. The chosen one may realize that success defined by external standards does not necessarily bring the fulfillment they are seeking. Letting go of these ambitions can feel both liberating and unsettling. On one hand, it removes the pressure to pursue goals that no longer feel meaningful. On the other hand, it requires the chosen one to redefine success according to a new understanding of purpose. Instead of chasing recognition, they begin focusing on impact. Instead of measuring progress through comparison with others, they begin evaluating whether their actions align with the direction their life is meant to move toward. Another aspect of this release involves stepping away from roles that once shaped the chosen one's identity. In earlier seasons, they may have fulfilled certain expectations within their family, community, or career. These roles may have been necessary for that stage of their development, yet as the chosen one grows, they may begin realizing that continuing to play those roles would prevent them from stepping fully into the next chapter of their life. This realization can create emotional tension because those roles may be connected to long-standing relationships or responsibilities. Letting go does not mean abandoning respect or appreciation for the past. Instead, it means recognizing that the chosen one's path is evolving beyond what those roles were designed to support. The process of releasing these identities requires courage. The chosen one must trust that who they are becoming is more important than who they have been in the past. They must believe that the growth they have experienced is leading them towards something meaningful, even if the future has not yet fully revealed itself. At times, this stage may feel like standing in an empty space between two chapters. The chosen one has released parts of their old identity, yet the full expression of their new role has not completely appeared. This space can feel uncertain, but it also carries a unique kind of freedom. Without the weight of outdated expectations, the chosen one becomes more open to discovering the direction their life is meant to take. This freedom allows them to respond more authentically to the opportunities that are beginning to appear. Instead of evaluating every decision through the lens of past expectations, they can focus on whether the opportunity aligns with their evolving purpose. The clarity they developed earlier now works together with this newfound freedom to guide their choices. Many chosen ones later look back on this stage and realize it was one of the most important transitions in their journey. By releasing what once defined them, they created the space necessary for their true calling to emerge. The identities they once carried were not mistakes, but they were only temporary expressions of who they were becoming. The breakthrough that lies ahead often requires a version of the chosen one that is no longer confined by outdated expectations or external definitions. It requires someone who is grounded in their purpose rather than in the approval of others. Someone who can move forward with confidence even when the path ahead is unfamiliar. In this way, the act of releasing becomes an essential part of preparation. The chosen one is not losing parts of themselves, but uncovering the deeper identity that has been developing beneath the surface all along. Each expectation released, each role outgrown, and each ambition redefined creates more space for the person they are meant to become. This stage therefore marks another powerful sign that the breakthrough is near. The chosen one is no longer bound by the identities that once limited their vision. They are becoming free to step into the next chapter of their journey with clarity, authenticity, and the readiness to embrace the calling that has been forming throughout their life. As we explored in the previous section, one of the final transformations that occurs before a breakthrough is the release of identities and expectations that once defined the chosen one's life. They begin letting go of the need for approval, outdated ambitions, and roles that no longer reflect who they are becoming. This release creates a new sense of freedom and alignment. The chosen one is no longer trying to fit into structures that belong to earlier chapters of their journey. Instead, they are becoming more grounded in their true purpose. Yet once this internal shift has taken place, something else becomes important to understand about the moment of breakthrough itself. It often arrives in ways far quieter than most people expect. When many people imagine a breakthrough, they picture a dramatic turning point. They imagine a sudden event that changes everything overnight. They expect a moment that clearly separates the old life from the new one, something so obvious that there is no doubt that the transformation has occurred. But for many chosen ones, the reality unfolds very differently. Instead of arriving like a loud announcement, the breakthrough often begins as a subtle shift. It may appear through a quiet change in perspective, rather than an immediate external victory. The chosen one may suddenly realize that the way they view their journey has transformed. Situations that once seemed frustrating now reveal deeper meaning. Experiences that once felt like delays begin to appear as preparation. This shift in understanding can feel almost surprising. The chosen one may wake up one day and realize that the struggle they carried for so long no longer feels the same. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming now feel like lessons that strengthen them. The disappointments that once caused discouragement now look like necessary steps that redirected their path towards something better. In that moment, the chosen one begins recognizing something important. The breakthrough was not waiting somewhere in the distant future. It was gradually forming through every challenge they endured. The strength they built during those seasons of pressure was preparing them for the opportunities now beginning to appear. Sometimes the breakthrough begins through small opportunities that align perfectly with the growth the chosen one has experienced. A conversation may open a new direction. A skill they developed quietly may suddenly become valuable in ways they did not anticipate. A connection formed during an unexpected moment may lead to opportunities that once seemed unreachable. These developments may not look dramatic to the outside world. Others may see them as ordinary steps forward. Yet for the chosen one, they represent something deeper. They mark the moment when preparation begins turning into manifestation. The qualities they developed during long seasons of growth are now finding their place in the world around them. One of the reasons breakthroughs often appear quietly is because the chosen one has already changed internally before the external transformation becomes visible. The patience they learned during seasons of waiting has shaped their character. The clarity developed through sharpened awareness has strengthened their decision-making. The discipline formed during times of resistance has prepared them to handle new responsibilities with stability. Because of this internal growth, the chosen one may suddenly find themselves capable of stepping into opportunities that once would have felt overwhelming. Situations that once seemed intimidating now feel manageable. Conversations that once would have created anxiety now feel natural. The chosen one realizes that they have become someone different from the person who first began the journey. This realization can be powerful because it reveals that the breakthrough was never only about external success. It was about transformation. The journey shaped the chosen one into someone capable of carrying the purpose that has been waiting for them. Another reason the breakthrough often feels quiet is that the chosen one's expectations have matured. Earlier in life, they may have imagined success as a dramatic moment that would instantly solve every problem. But after walking through seasons of growth and challenge, their perspective becomes more grounded. They begin understanding that real transformation unfolds step by step. The breakthrough is not a single event, but a transition into a new chapter, where their efforts finally begin aligning with their purpose. Each opportunity that appears becomes another piece of the larger picture forming around their life. The chosen one may also notice that the delays they once struggled to understand have now become valuable foundations. The time they spent developing skills allowed them to become prepared when the opportunity arrived. The relationships that ended created space for connections that better align with their direction. The lessons learned through hardship strengthened their resilience and wisdom. What once looked like wasted time now reveals itself as preparation that could not have been rushed. The chosen one begins seeing that if the breakthrough had arrived earlier, they might not have been ready to sustain it. The waiting that once felt frustrating now appears as protection that ensured the timing would be right. As this understanding grows, the chosen one begins stepping forward with greater confidence. They no longer feel the need to rush or force results. They trust the process that shaped their journey. The same patience that carried them through seasons of pressure now allows them to move forward with steady determination. This quiet confidence becomes one of the most powerful signs that the breakthrough has truly begun. The chosen one is no longer driven by desperation or fear of failure. Instead, they move forward with clarity and purpose. The direction of their life feels aligned in ways that were not visible before. In many ways, this quiet shift represents the true beginning of the breakthrough. The chosen one has crossed the threshold between preparation and manifestation. The person they have become is now ready to embrace the opportunities unfolding ahead. The struggles that once felt like obstacles have become stepping stones that support the new chapter emerging in their life. Each challenge they endured now serves as part of the foundation that allows them to move forward with strength and wisdom. What once felt like delay was never truly a delay at all. It was the process that shaped the chosen one into someone capable of carrying the calling placed on their life. And as they begin walking into this new chapter, they may realize something remarkable. The breakthrough they were waiting for did not arrive with noise or spectacle. It arrived quietly, through the transformation that had been taking place within them all along. As we reach the end of this message, it is important to pause and reflect on the central truth behind everything we have discussed. The chosen one often finds themselves closest to their breakthrough at the exact moment when the journey feels the most difficult. The pressure becomes intense. Confusion appears in places that once seemed clear. Relationships, routines, and familiar structures begin to shift or dissolve. From the surface, these experiences can feel discouraging, as if everything that once held life together is slowly coming apart. Yet, when viewed through the lens of purpose, these moments often carry a very different meaning. The pressure is not necessarily a sign that the chosen one has failed. Instead, it may indicate that the season of preparation is nearing completion. Just as the final moments before dawn are often the darkest, the stage before breakthrough can feel like the most uncertain part of the journey. Throughout this process, the chosen one may feel tempted to interpret every challenge as a setback. When resistance increases, it can appear as though progress is being blocked. When old structures begin falling away, it may feel as though stability is being lost. When doubts arise, it may seem as though confidence is fading rather than growing. But these experiences often signal that something deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. Pressure strengthens the inner foundation that will support the next stage of the chosen one's life. Confusion forces reflection, and develops clarity. Endings remove what no longer aligns with the path ahead. Each of these experiences plays a role in preparing the chosen one for the responsibilities connected to their breakthrough. What makes this stage particularly challenging is that the breakthrough itself rarely announces its arrival in dramatic ways. As we discussed earlier, transformation often begins quietly. A shift in perspective appears. Opportunities begin opening where doors were once closed. The chosen one gradually realizes that the struggles they endured were shaping them for something greater than they originally imagined. In this moment, patience becomes one of the most valuable qualities the chosen one can carry. The path forward may not reveal itself all at once. Instead, it may unfold step by step, each moment of clarity guiding the next decision. Remaining attentive to these small shifts allows the chosen one to recognize when change is quietly taking place. Faith also becomes essential during this stage. Faith does not require perfect understanding of every situation. It simply means continuing forward, even when the full picture is not yet visible. The chosen one learns to trust that the same journey that shaped their strength will also guide them toward the purpose waiting ahead. When the breakthrough finally begins unfolding, many chosen ones look back and realize something surprising. The experiences that once felt like obstacles were actually preparing them all along. The pressure they endured strengthened their resilience. The endings they faced cleared the space necessary for new beginnings. The confusion they struggled through sharpened their awareness and wisdom. What once appeared to be a series of setbacks eventually becomes the evidence that their life was being shaped for something greater. The lessons gained through hardship become tools that allow the chosen one to move forward with confidence and clarity. If you find yourself standing in a season where the journey feels heavy and uncertain, remember that this moment may be closer to transformation than it appears. The experiences shaping you today may soon reveal themselves as the preparation that positioned you for your next chapter. If this message encouraged you today, remember to like the video, share it with someone who may be standing at their own breakthrough moment, and subscribe to the channel for more spiritual messages about the journey of the chosen ones.